Good evening, everyone. And now we have the second part lecture of about the human respiratory system. Okay, human respiratory system, or the organs in the respiratory system of human beings. Okay, so let's move on with the amazing class. Okay, human respiratory system. Human respiratory system, you are familiar with human respiratory system. Human respiratory system are categorized into two, that is air passage and paired lungs. Okay, human respiratory system consists of two parts: air passage, that is a canal or the air passage, and the paired lungs. Look, you breathe in the air through the nasal cavity, right? Through the nasal cavity, it goes into the nostril, or through the nostril you inhale it, it goes into the nasal cavity. Okay, from the nasal cavity, it enters the pharynx. Pharynx is a common passage for food and air. Pharynx is the common passage for food and air. Okay, after that it goes into the larynx. After the larynx you have trachea. Trachea is a long tube which is covered by cartilaginous ring. That is the carina of trachea. It is covered by cartilaginous ring. The lungs are protected by an outer covering known as pleura. What is the outer covering of liver? The outer covering of a liver is known as Glissen's capsule. It was a question for today's morning Menti quest, right? Glissen's capsule. And what is the outer covering for a heart? The outer covering of a heart is pericardium. Outer covering of a heart is pericardium. Okay, then they are protected by the outer pleura, then the pleural fluid, then by the ribs. Then this diaphragm is a muscular sheath that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Suppose this is to be the diaphragm. Above this you have the thoracic cavity, and below this you have the abdominal cavity. Okay, and this diaphragm helps in the contraction and relaxation, or contraction or relaxation of the diaphragm, or the expansion and contraction of the diaphragm leads to inhalation and exhalation. Okay, you have two paired lungs, that is a right lung and the left lung. Okay, then these trachea divide inside the lungs as bronchi. Bronchi forms bronchioles. Bronchioles, at the tip of bronchioles you have small enlarged structure, and that is the unit of respiration or respiratory system. You call it as to be alveoli. Very important. Okay, alveoli. Let's move with the next one. So first let's discuss about the air passage or the conducting part. Air passage or the conducting part. What are the main functions of the conducting part? It transports atmospheric air. It transports atmospheric air into the alveoli. Okay, conducting part, just carry the air from outside to the internal, that is of the lungs, that is alveoli. It clears the air. It clears the air from foreign particles. The ciliated epithelium, then the mucus present in the nasal cavity, the air present inside the nose. All these clears the foreign particle or the dust present inside it. Then the trachea also have what? Ciliated epithelium. The main function is it humidifies, that is it makes the air wet and brings the air to body temperature. There may be in a hot condition, but we have an average temperature of our body as 37 degrees Celsius. So it humidifies the atmospheric air and brings down its as to the normal body temperature. Okay, it's a mixing slide. Look, this is the passage. So this will be an ear question for NEET. The external nostrils. So the first part is the nostril. Nostril will lead to the nasal passage. Nasal passage will lead to the nasal cavity. Then you have the nasopharynx, then the glottis, larynx, trachea. Trachea, from here onwards it's important. Trachea will form primary bronchi. Primary will form secondary bronchi. Secondary will form tertiary bronchi, and at last tertiary bronchi will form bronchioles. The bronchioles will convert into terminal bronchioles and respiratory bronchioles, and at last it will form the basic unit, that is the alveolar duct. Each terminal bronchiole give rise to many thin and vascularized alveoli. Many thin and vascularized alveoli, I'll tell which is important. You have to study this external nostril. This is a passage. External nostril, nasal passage, nasopharynx, then glottis, larynx, trachea. You have primary, secondary, tertiary, bronchi. Next is bronchi you study, then bronchioles. After that you have to study alveolar duct. All these points are important, and alveoli is very thin and highly vascularized. Okay, you have the nasal cavity, nostril, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchiole. Okay, bronchiole, primary bronchiole, secondary bronchiole, tertiary bronchi, and at last terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, and you have the alveoli. Okay, this is a conducting zone. You have the trachea. Then these are the primary bronchus. These are the secondary bronchus. Primary bronchus just branches out to have the secondary bronchus. The secondary bronchus will form the tertiary bronchus, and at last into terminal bronchioles. Terminal bronchioles. At last it leads to the formation of a bronchial tree. Okay. This is all about the conducting zone. This is all about the conducting zone. The respiratory zone is the alveoli. The respiratory zone is the alveoli. Okay, alveoli. Is it clear, everyone? So let's move with the next one. This is the air passage. First, we have the larynx. Larynx is otherwise known as a sound box or voice box. You also known as Adam's apple. Adam's apple. So larynx is the organ which produces sound or voice. That's why I can speak, you can speak, etc. Okay, it's also called Adam's apple, the enlarged portion near throat or the neck. It is a cartilaginous box. So larynx is made up of cartilage, very important. Cartilaginous box which helps in the, what is the main function? It helps in the sound production. It helps in the sound production. Then you have learned about this glottis. Glottis, epiglottis, right? Suppose this is the foot passage. Okay, and this is the nasal passage. Adjacent to it, you have the nasal passage. You also have the nasal passage. Okay. There is a thing like this. Okay, there you just reverse the order. What is this? Is the, I think it's not visible. What I have indicated with this color is the digestive tract or the alimentary canal, and this, let it be the respiratory tract. Okay, what happens during, let me have it in another slide for you. Okay. Suppose this is our respiratory tract. And let this be our digestive tract. Okay, digestive tract. And what do you have? You have a cartilaginous flap like this. A cartilaginous flap, and you have this flap you known as epiglottis. Epiglottis. That's why the elders ask you not to talk while you are eating. When this is a digestive tract and this is the respiratory tract and this is the digestive tract. During the ingestion or intake of food or during breathing or indigestion, not indigestion, during the food intake, what happens is that, sorry, the order is just reversed when I came here, right? So let this be the respiratory tract. 1 second. Yeah, this is the respiratory tract. Green is the respiratory tract and red is the digestive tract or alimentary canal. So during the intake of food, what happens is that these flap of connective tissue just covers the respiratory tract. So as the food comes, what happens? The food will enter into the digestive tract only with the peristalsis movement. With the peristalsis movement, the food passes into the digestive system in spite of going into the respiratory tract. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, anyway. Okay, so during swallowing, a glottis is closed by epiglottis. Epiglottis is a thin cartilaginous flap that prevent the entry of food into the larynx. Then you have trachea. Trachea, all bronchi and initial bronchioles are supported by incomplete cartilaginous ring called a half ring. So this is trachea. This trachea is supported by cartilaginous flaps. Okay, which keep it in position. That is why even though there are no air inside, it does not collapse. The tracheal path does not collapse even in the absence of air because of the presence of half cartilaginous ring, the cartilaginous ring. Okay, so next one, it is a vocal cords. Vocal cords or vocal cord complaints we say, right? Vocal cord means it's a sound producing region. Then you have the lungs. Where are the lungs located? The lungs are located in the thoracic chamber and rest on the diaphragm. The lungs is located in the thoracic chamber and is located in the diaphragm. Look, the right, this is a right lung has 3 lobes. Okay, 3 lobes. 1 second again. The right lungs has 3 lobes. The right lungs has 3 lobes, whereas the left lungs have only 2 lobes. That's a speciality. Left lungs has only 2 lobes. Each lung is covered by a double layered covering called pleura. Pleura is a double membranous covering of the lungs. So you have outer parietal pleura and inner visceral pleura. Outer parietal pleura and inner visceral pleura. The pleural fluid present in between these 2 layers lubricates the surface of the lungs and prevents friction. So what is the function of the pleural fluid? It acts as a shock absorber. It prevents the friction between the 2 membranes of the lungs. Okay. Let's check what's next. Yes. So lungs is equal to what all other components inside the lungs? You have bronchi plus bronchioles plus alveoli constitute the lungs. Look, bronchiole, alveoli together constitute the lungs. Is it? Alveoli and their duct form the respiratory or exchange part of the respiratory system. Okay, what are the components of the conducting part? You have the nostril, nasal cavity, then pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchiole, etc. Up to bronchiole, respiratory bronchiole, you have the what? Up to respiratory bronchiole, you have what? The conducting surface, which is the exchange part or the respiratory part. This is very important. which is the exchange part or the respiratory part of the respiratory system. It is the alveoli together with their duct. Therefore, this point I have already discussed. Alveoli are the structural and functional unit. Another neat question. At least 10 times repeated neat question. Alveoli are the structural and functional unit of lungs. So this is the internal structure of a lungs, just an image diagram. Then from the steps of respiration, we'll discuss in our next class. Okay, in the next class, we'll discuss. So that's all for the session on human respiratory system. Anyway, thank you all. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our wonderful channel.